So I started the cloud recording, and let me start this, what I'm going to call my backup recording. This is mainly so that it captures my face. So as you might have seen, there are a ton of recorded videos from previous sessions, and I've fiddled with the Zoom settings to try to always have a recording of my face, and Zoom didn't have a good setting that always did that. And so my video runs through this open broadcaster studio, and actually I don't think S stands for studio, OBS, and it and I record it here. And this also serves as a backup recording of my voice, because once it goes through the Zoom, sometimes there's a lag, and this is a local version of the audio that's slightly higher quality than what goes through Zoom. So this is my backup video. You will, at the beginning of each virtual class session, you will see me starting this. That's really what it is. So let me put in the chat window what's going to become my usual welcome message, and we'll get started. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining in this virtual class session. Not virtual, sorry. I keep going to an automate. In this online orientation session. If you have any questions, please feel free to unmute yourself and ask, or put your question into the chat window. Since this is our first session, let me do a bit of a quick introduction / explanation of my setup. I'm in my office that's attached to the classroom that you'll be in on Thursday. And I have it set up where all the natural light is blocked, so that any time of the day, this background looks about the same. So I have a 2-screen setup. You should be seeing my main screen shared here, captured as part of the recording. I have a second screen off to the side. That's where I have all my other windows for managing this Zoom session. Let me just drag the chat window. All the other windows, I try not to share who's here in the recording, so I'll be careful about having the other windows visible. With the chat window, I try to make it very small. Okay, yeah. So I'm not gonna scroll up, because these are the other messages that people who are not here in real time won't see. So in the recording, you should be seeing, starting with this message here. And so while you are in this session, any messages you send to everyone, that will be captured as part of the recording. If you have any questions or comment or something that you don't want captured in the recording, you can send it to me as a private message. Click next to 2 and choose my name. Then this chat window will be on my second screen that I glance at it from time to time, and I'll still be able to address it. But your message won't be part of the recording. And I'm normally very careful about not dragging this into the shared part of the screen. So let me move it back to my second screen, where it won't be shown to everyone. So that's a brief explanation of my setup. So in this orientation session, I want you to go over a few things. And with these, both orientation session and the virtual class session, which I'll be doing once a week, starting with this Friday, I will usually send out a message in this format, telling you when it is. So the one this Friday should be January 24th at 11 a.m. Same link. And I'll usually list some things in the agenda, mainly as a way to organize for myself, so I don't forget the things that are important. So this is the agenda for this orientation session. So let me start with the introduction. So before I started the recording, among the 7-8 people who are here, 10 people counting myself, who are here, we did a quick intro just to saying something. And I'll just do my quick intro, and I'll have a longer intro as I'm going through the course demo. So my name is Andrew Park. I'm your instructor. I've been teaching physics at here at College of Alameda for a while. The Physics 4A was the first class I taught here when I started part-time back in 2014. So I've been here a while. And, um, and I'll say more when I'm doing a longer intro as part of the course demo. And a few beginning of semester notes. So I had these in the very first announcement that I posted last week. Make sure you take a look at that. If you are just looking at the course on the home page, you might miss this. So make sure, that's why I put link to this in the very first paragraph of this announcement. Please make sure you take a look at this very first announcement. It really comes down to establishing a line of communication. So that's what a couple important notes are. And the number one thing is I really want to be able to reach you via email. That's my first backup method in trying to reach you. And in this first week, people who I don't see in lab, people who I don't see working on Canvas, I will eventually be calling them, but email is so much easier compared to a phone call. So please, if you can, make sure that you are checking your Peralta email regularly. And what I recommend is, especially those of you, which might be most of you, who are not using Peralta email as your main email, forward it. There's an instruction for forwarding it. You can follow this to forward your Peralta email to the email that you regularly use, and check it in only one place, at least once a day, so that you get notified. Now, speaking of being notified, in Canvas, you do have to set up proper notification setting so that you are notified of certain important events happening. I call the email my first backup method in reaching out to you, because usually, most of the time when I'm writing you a message for something, I won't do it by email first time. I'll use Canvas Conversations tool. It's a sort of organizing scheme where all the course-related communication is in this learning management system, so that it's easier to find. Email. I use email for other things too, and sometimes things get buried. So this is what I recommend with regard to course notifications. In your notification setting, which you can access through this link, or you can also do it through your profile, notifications. That's another way to get to the same page. There, I really ask you to set 3 things as notify immediately. You can set the settings on a per account basis or your per course basis. I don't bother with the per course. I just have one for account. And here you can see my I don't even know if this still works. Here you can see my preference. My preference is to set everything as notify immediately. Whenever it doesn't annoy me too much. So I might recommend that for you too. But I realize you might be taking more classes than I'm teaching, and all those notifications can be overwhelming. Then really the 3 things I would like you to set as notify immediately are these. Announcements. This is the notification for this orientation session, which I posted last night at 11 p.m. Unless you had announcement as set as notify immediately, you might not have gotten notification of that yet. If it was set something like a daily summary, you'll get notification of that like today at 6 p.m. after it's already happened. Now, I do try not to post anything where you have to respond within 24 hours. And in fact, the time for this orientation session, I announced it actually last week. So even if you missed the last night's announcement, you would have known something was going on now. But still, why introduce an unnecessary delay? If you have it set as notify immediately, you'll get notified immediately. Basically, whenever I post an announcement, it'll reach you like it's an email to you. That's one. The second thing is the conversation message. And so the Canvas message is my first way to try to reach out to you if I need to write individual messages. And I still would like it to work like an email. So that only works if you set this notification to notify immediately. Or, if you check your email only in the evenings, then sure, do daily summary. But I would like you to be notified when there's a Canvas message so that it works kind of like an email for you. And the third thing, this took me a while to figure out, and I think I taught for a whole semester or two before realizing not everyone had this set up. It's the submission comment. So certain items, as I grade, I'll be leaving a feedback that I want you to respond to. Although I guess there's a fear of that this semester because of the simplified setting, but I might still be using it. I definitely am using it for some of the assignment items that are really set up for me to communicate your final course grade related matters to you. So for those, for you to realize that there's some feedback for you to see, you need to have this set to some level of notification. I recommend to notify immediately, but if not that, at least a daily summary or maybe weekly summary, don't turn it off, please. Because if this is turned off, then those grading feedbacks, you simply won't get it. And I'm assuming that when I leave a feedback, that you have seen it and you had the opportunity to adjust to whatever you are doing based on the feedback. So those are the three things that I really ask and expect that you will have them, the notifications turned on. The fourth thing that I would recommend that you have notifications on as well is on discussions. In particular, it matters for the recordings of these sessions. So both for this orientation session and the virtual class sessions in the future, when the recording is available, I'm going to be posting it in discussions that organizations can really work the best. When I posted in the announcements, it just cluttered up everything. But when I post it in discussions, it's reasonably separate. So what I would ask is please have new topic enabled, notification enabled, so that when the recording is posted, you are aware that the recording is available. And I realize some of the discussion notifications can really be overwhelming, especially if you are taking online classes where the instructors requiring people to like post once, reply to classmate stuff. Then Canvas actually separated this out like a year ago. So as long as you kind of turn down the reply one, you won't get overwhelmed. The new topic is when someone is starting a new discussion topic entirely. It's that's when I am posting the virtual class session recording, one. And two, the discussions in this class is set up so that anybody can post. If one of your classmates posts a message that they want the whole class to see, then that'll also be a new topic, but it's not a graded discussion thing. So that fourth and final item, I would ask you to set it as notify immediately. This is so that there's open lines of communication. That when with this online class, really that's the most challenging thing. With the in-person, face-to-face classes, when you are in the class and I'm speaking, I can kind of see you. I can see if you are listening, even all the facial expressions, all. I can say that, but in this online class, facial expressions are one of the luxuries that I've learned to do without. And but we have in-person lab section, and it's so easy in the online setting for someone to communicate something, thinks that those communications are being received at the other end, but when it wasn't. So please make sure that you are reachable by your email. Now, in cases where it really matters, like I need to decide whether to drop you or not, I'll eventually call you, but I try not to do that too much throughout the semester. So I really want to be able to reach you by email, and make sure that you have these notifications set as notify immediately. That's what I recommend. In addition, the new topic item under discussion, so that you receive the regular communications relating to course. And really what I would do, as you can see my preference, what I think is best is to just set everything as notify immediately. Anything that's bugging you, you will realize it's bugging you, then you can turn it down. Like I used to have this as notify immediately, and then I realized anytime anybody submitted anything, I'm gonna get an email. So, okay, that I need to turn it down. But almost everything else, like these, I almost never get any notification about. If things happen where these things are bugging me, then I can turn it down. So that's the couple important items at this beginning of semester. And let me look here. So I think I'm gonna be spending majority of the remaining time, majority of the time, which is the remaining time, doing course demos. So let me just do a couple things first. First, kind of in different order, reminder of Thursday's in-person lab session. So it's in a bunch of places. It's, I think, listed in the syllabus. We have lab session Thursday, Atlan 100, meaning room 100. It's the first room you will see on the left as you walk in at Atlan, or Science Annex at the Atlantic Avenue. This is our street address, 860 Atlantic Avenue. We are not on the main campus. There's plenty of parking right outside the building, so please come directly to 860 Atlantic Avenue. And if you're working through the modules, you will also see some notification about the lab stuff somewhere here. I think maybe here, and then, well, not here, but within the lab module, which this links to, there should be some introduction of what we are doing in week 1. So for week 1, please come to, I don't have the message. So I'll post an announcement reminding you of Thursday's lab session on Wednesday. So please make sure you are in attendance. I do have some people on the wait list, and the main criteria I use is whether we have physical space. And whoever's not in lab this week, I'm assuming that you plan to drop. So if there's an emergency and you can't be here, make sure that I know that. I know that you intend to stay in the class, but you can't be here first week for some reason. So that when I figure out do we have enough physical space, I can figure for people who are missing, but will be there for the remainder of the semester. So that's the reminder of this Thursday's lab. We are holding our first in-person lab. Now, it's not, we don't have any real lab in the sense of where you have to make a measurement and all that. The lab schedule, the easiest way to just look at the lab schedule in one glance is this page. This is set outside the module's requirements, so you can just access it anytime. And when you look at it, you will see, oh, yeah, this is the lab schedule. We have the introduction and orientation, and there's this thing that I want people to fill out. And really the main purpose of this first lab is to make sure that people can be here. I sometimes get requests from people who want to take this class as a 100% online class, and it's not set up that way. Our UC and CSU partners won't let us teach it that way. So people do need to be, it is required that you regularly attend the lab. Emergencies come up. If you're having to miss 1 or 2 labs, that's fine. But if you can't be at like half the labs, then this class isn't for you. So yeah, that's the reminder of this Thursday's lab. And let me publish this survey. I'm trying different things with office hours. I tried something last semester, and in some ways it worked, some ways it didn't. So I'm trying something different this time. We'll see how that works. So I guess one of the things that I started doing last semester is I used to first to get feedback from people when you are available, and then send my office hour based on that. And then people weren't really coming to office hours anyway. So what I'm doing with office hours is I've already set a time. So in this survey, let me publish it right now. In this survey, what you will see is I'm telling you, these are my office hours currently scheduled. My virtual class session that counts as my online office hours, so that's on Friday. And these are the office hour times I'm setting for this semester. And I guess I'll explain more of this Thursday. And what I'm envisioning this is, so we've been teaching this class with 100% online lecture for a while. 100% online lecture, 100% in-person lab. And I see people struggling who might not be struggling as much if we had some portion of in-person lecture. Now, we don't, so I can't make you come in for lecture. But what I would like to have is kind of open invitation. So if we were setting this course as a hybrid class, hybrid lecture, then we probably would have met Tuesday evening and Thursday evening. Thursday evening for lab, as it's already set up, and then Tuesday evening for lecture. And it would have been some sort of a flipped classroom setup where you maybe watch the lecture videos at home, and in the classroom you're just working on physics problems where you can ask me questions like in real time, in person. So if you want to use this time that way, then great. I have office hour Tuesday, the same time as the lab time in the evening, 6 to 8 p.m. Just drop by and use that time like that, like an open lab time or open classroom time for you to work on lecture material. So if you don't want to do that, that's fine. This is office hour. Attendance is not required. So I want you to give that a try, see how many people make use of that. And so the times are already set, but I'm open to changing it depending on what feedback I get. So that's what this survey is for. And I will post an announcement with a link to the survey so that people can kind of look at it and respond to it. And if depending on what kind of responses I see, especially on questions 1 and 2, I'm open to changing the times. And yeah, but in the past it just hasn't happened. But you know, if it's 1 or 2 people, you can always set individual appointments. This is my full-time job. I have no other regular commitment. Usually if someone tells me, hey, I can't make any of the office hours, I'd like to meet at these times, unless your own availability is so limited that you can only do one time. Like a Thursday afternoon is usually terrible for me. So as long as you have a number of open times, we can probably find a time that works. So so if it's 1 or 2 people, individual appointments will probably work. If it's like 5 people, then sure, I'll consider changing the time. So, okay, I just published this, so if people want to respond to it, you can, if you can find a link. There's a place where you can find a link, but I'll just say it as part of the course demo why I don't want you to use it. So, and I think this is a survey that I'm not using this semester. Yeah, so I think that takes care of these 2 items. So, if there are questions, comments, I'm happy to address. Not hearing any or seeing any, I'm glancing to see if there's anything in the chat. So let me do the course demo. We have about 30 minutes, a little bit less than 30 minutes, and I'll just show you what working through this course looks like going through as test student. So I've deliberately not done anything as test student because I wanted to do this demo, and that's my story and I'm sticking to it. And let me just okay, never mind. Sorry, I'm glancing, and sometimes I don't know. You know, sometimes Zoom has this thing where these levels are supposed to match what I'm speaking, and I guess this is a kind of slow changing thing. Software quirks. You get used to it. This is just one thing that I guess I didn't realize until right now. When you're on a mobile device, that those levels, they won't quite change in a instantaneous way, whereas in the main Zoom window on a desktop, they do. Anyways, let me not be distracted and focus here. So this is the course homepage. When you, from your dashboard, which test student doesn't have access to, from dashboard, when you click on Physics 4A, this is the homepage you will land on. I took a lot of time for me to design this homepage with these buttons, with this choice of colors to match the color for our textbook. I mean, it didn't actually take a lot of time, but I did have to look up how to do the button styles. So this is the homepage. Now, if you're on a mobile Canvas mobile app, either on iOS or Android, depending on the version, it might skip this homepage. That's one of the reasons I don't actually recommend that you use the mobile app. You can use mobile devices. On mobile devices, I recommend that you use web browser. Mobile web browsers work great. I have no issues with it. It's the mobile app where it skips some stuff. It doesn't show you some information that causes confusion. So this is the homepage, and as it says, click on Start Here. That's where you should start. It goes to this Canvas orientation and student resources page. It's a fixed link. It doesn't adapt, but that's where you should start. Now, there's one thing on this page that I would get rid of if I could, and that is this to-do sidebar. I see a lot of students using this sidebar. You see it, it says to do. So you think, oh yeah, that's a list of things for me to do. So you start working down the list. And some of it can be useful. Like if you're using it to track the announcements that you have seen, then great. I have no issue with that. In fact, this widget here, it'll only display the most recent announcements. So this can actually be good. After reading and making sure you know necessary information, click it away to make it go away. All of that, fine. But the problem starts with the other items. People want to click on this to go to the next assignment, and that'll cause confusion because you will see this. Like, what's this? What do I do? And I get these messages saying, Professor, can you please unlock this thing? I can't do anything. And I'll probably get some of those messages tonight at 11:30 p.m. Those messages, as a matter of principle, I'll wait until tomorrow morning to answer. And, even here, if you do read the error message, then it does explain what you need to do. So it's not as though it's a fatal mistake from which there's no recovery. But I think the to-do list, I think it encourages the kind of habit that I don't think is helpful in a class where you're trying to learn. There's a whole bunch of materials that you should take a look at. And there are many materials where there isn't an immediate assignment attached to it. That doesn't mean that it's information that you can just ignore. So that's really why I don't like the to-do list, because it kind of reinforces that mindset where everything in a course is an assignment, and it's not set up that way. And it'll give you links to things where you can't do anything, and it just causes confusion. So this is something that I would like to get rid of if I could, but I can't, so it's there. What I do recommend that you do is just ignore it. Don't do anything with it. And that's why, even though you could go to the virtual class session survey through this link, I will just pretend that it doesn't exist. And I'll post the link to that in an announcement after this session. Instead of giving you instructions to find the link in the to-do bar, I want you to ignore the to-do bar. Instead, I want you to follow my instructions and please click on Start Here button to get started. So that'll take you this page, which is the very first module page that you start with, and it links to a bunch of stuff. If you have seen all this, as I said, you can kind of skip to the bottom and go to next. And this also links to, forwarding your Peralta email and all that. Oh yeah, it works for test student too, huh? All right. Yeah. And now at the bottom of this page, I explained something that some people might have had to go through, especially if you are using those to-do bar links. I use what's called module requirements. Those requirements ensure that you see every resource that's in the course. So if you've clicked on other things before viewing this page, there would have been a message that said it hasn't been unlocked yet, and I'm not the one doing the unlocking. You are the one doing the unlocking. And the way you do the unlocking is by following the module requirements by starting here and then click next. Then you can kind of work through the page, read through, click next, kind of in a regular normal way. Now, as you see test student doing, right now test student is not reading. I mean, he's a speed reader, but even he's not reading that fast. He's just clicking next through. This is not something I would recommend, but it's something that if we are doing that, it hasn't been prevented through technological means. So if someone's doing it, okay, I guess it's not quite right that I can't stop you from doing that. I can stop you from doing that, as I have done it here. I have stopped the test student from simply clicking on next to go on. So, but a lot of the materials are information that I think you should know. It's in fact, let me go back to some of those now. It's information that I think you should know. At the same time, how much effort am I willing to exert to make sure that make sure you have read it? Not very. It's more of a, for your information. If you don't read it, it's kind of skin off my back. It makes things difficult for you. So I've done my part by making the information available, and I want you to do your part by reading it. And in items where it matters, I'll use these Canvas module requirements to make sure that you've actually read it. You've had a chance to slow down and actually look at the material. But for the vast majority of course items, they'll have what's called a view requirement. And all that means is it's that it just requires your web browser to have loaded the page. So once I load it, it's viewed, done. The system doesn't even can't check if you've read it or not. So for example, this is the page that a lot of people might be interested in. I think this is linked from the syllabus. This is how your grade will get determined at the end of the semester. And I guess you can read it. What I will say is that I think this is all, if you just take away one thing from this page, I think this is accurate enough and comprehensive enough to not mislead people. So do all the written work that's in this class as a practice. So we do keep scores, but those scores don't actually count for anything. What you do gain out of the written work is that you are gaining practice. Practice for what? Someone might ask. In a kind of lofty, ideal setting, I'd say practice for your future classes, practice for your per division, practice for when you in your professional work. But if that's too far in the distance for you, then practice for the required one-on-one meeting. For those of you wanting to get an A or B, you do need to complete this meeting, and a big chunk of this meeting will be based on your written work. So do all the written work as a practice for this required one-on-one meeting, focusing on what you understood and learned, and do this meeting as soon as possible. Sometimes people do their written work in a wrong way without intending to cheat. Then the earlier we do this meeting, the more guidance I can give, the more time you have to do the right things. Let me see when do you have to read this by? Those of you who are on the wait list, don't worry about this. So make sure you can be here on Thursday for the in-person lab session, and anything that you haven't done by then. I know you weren't even in the Canvas section, so don't worry about not being able to do any of this until Thursday or maybe Friday. I do need to see if everyone who's attending the lab on Thursday can actually get in, if there's a physical space. That's why I can't give out permission numbers now. I will be sharing this recording with everyone, including those who are on the wait list. So let me just look at the module a little bit more slowly. So what people are expected to do in the middle of the week right now are looking through this orientation material, kind of course logistical stuff, things that normally would have been in the syllabus, but I didn't put it in the syllabus to keep it from being too long. These items are due on Tuesday, but you can also do it after past due. And people who are joining late, I know you are joining late. There's no penalty or whatsoever. And these are you will see me complete these now, and they are kind of quick to do. It doesn't take a lot of time. The place where you are running, you will feel a little bit of time crunch is the week 1 material. We do cover chapters 1 and 2 this week. There's a lecture recording, and there's well, I think this is the one that I would estimate someone might take 2 to 3 hours to complete. And that puts you in a bit of a time crunch, but it's due on Friday. I think if you get the permission number on Thursday, it's still reasonable for you to do this. So, clear out your schedule for Friday. Don't be super busy on Friday. And the rest of the items, they are due on Monday. This is kind of the regular pattern for the assignment due. So people who are present on the Thursday's lab session and able to enroll in class that evening or at the latest the Friday morning, you should be on schedule for completing everything needed for week 1. So, with that, let me do the honor code pledge. That's the first of the module items where the requirement was in view. So I need to actually score something in order to access the next item. And so this is actually one of the items where I do actually care that you have read a block of text. And I know some of my colleagues who do like a syllabus quiz. I don't do those because I feel like, really the main thing I care about is that you have read this block of text. And I guess I can test if you've read it by asking you some questions, but I feel like especially at this technologically advanced age, there are ways to cheat around that. So the only way I felt I could actually make sure that someone has read this block of text, that this somehow made it through your brain in some way, is to make you type it. So this is my instruction for this honor code pledge. Please type this indented text in the box below, replacing this with your name. One thing so 2 kind of common mistakes I see. Sometimes I see people doing this, like just typing their name. I mean, please read the instructions. It doesn't tell you to do that. If you're just typing your name, you're proving to me that you don't read the instructions. So the lesson there is, please read the instructions. And then I'll have people who do this. Maybe thinking, how is Andrew gonna know if I do this? After all, I'm asking you to just, type the whole thing. I'm not even asking you to put it in your own words. How am I gonna know if you typed it or copied and pasted it? I'll tell you this much. When I tell you not to do something, it's usually because, 1, I don't want you doing it, and 2, I have an enforcement mechanism in mind. I don't like making empty threats. When I tell you something and it's in an unmistakable command format, know that I have an enforcement mechanism in mind. And actually during the Thursday's lab, I will demonstrate how I know when someone has copied and pasted this block of text. And when I manually graded anyone who has copied and pasted the block of text, I'll zero out your score, make you do it again. That's why you get 3 attempts, because some people inevitably will do it wrong and will need to do it more than once. So really, all I want you to do is this very simple thing. Let me just do this very simply and correctly. I'll just type it out. I, test student. Actually, I forget if I usually do test student or Andrew Park. Let me just do test student. Test student will make submissions that represent my own work, not share my own work and solutions with anyone else, except. And different people have different typing proficiency. When I'm really focusing and not multitasking, I can type like 100 words per minute. I know not everyone does that, especially if you're doing it on the phone. It can take you a really long time. I've seen someone take like 9 minutes doing it on the phone. Amount of time is not what matters. And you see me correcting some of the typos. If you have typos, it's fine. It's all manually graded. Improve my results, or dishonestly damage or improve the results of others. I pledge this on my honor. And really, the main thing I'm trying to ensure is that you spend some time with this block of text, that you don't have an excuse to say, oh, I didn't know this was against the course rules. I say make submissions that represent your own work. I don't want someone to be able to say, oh, I didn't know that was in the course rules. I didn't know I couldn't just copy and paste from ChatGPT. You know the rule. That's why I have you do this honor code pledge, so that nobody has an excuse that you didn't know the rules. And as I have demonstrated as I'm typing, even this requirement, it doesn't really ensure that you are exclusively focusing on this block of text while you're typing. I can multitask enough where I'm saying one thing while typing another thing. Because I can do it, I imagine some of you can do that too. And it's fine. I don't know what more I can require to make sure that you are studying this in detail. So I'll make you type it. That's good enough for me. So type it here, please. I will manually review it to make sure that it's typed and go through that. And then here, please answer yes. These 2 points are the mechanism that I use to allow you to progress while I'm still grading your honor code pledge. So if you answer no, then you'll have to definitely come back here to redo it to get at least 2 points so that you have more than 1.9 points. So now when I go next, the introduce yourself graded discussion should be now open. I'll try to be careful not to show, right now it's fine. Once I reply, then I'll have to be careful. Show as little of your classmates' names as possible, because it's the kind of thing that I need to blur out when I edit the video for YouTube. So the less I show of it, the less I have to blur out. So let me reply. I'll use this as my intro as your instructor. So I'll say, hi, my name is Andrew Park. Whenever you see test student in these graded discussions, it's me, your instructor, clearing module requirements for the test student. I haven't found other reliable ways to clear module requirements. This one has a contribute requirement, and really actually contributing, that's the only way I've been actually be able to clear the module requirement consistently, even with my instructor access. So, and I am teaching this class, not taking it. So I'll answer the questions with that slide modification. So why are you taking this class? I'm teaching this class because I have to. I'm full-time. I do love teaching Physics 4A. It's the class I've taught the most. It's the first class I started with when I started at College of Alameda in 2014. And I guess my favorite thing about teaching Physics 4A is that this is the class that's really focused on teaching you how to solve physics problems. So let me type a version of that. I love teaching Physics 4A. It's the class I've taught the most at College of Alameda starting in fall 2014. And that's because this is the course most focused on teaching you physics problem solving approaches. That's basically our entire semester. We do teach you some laws of physics, but not as many as we would in Physics 4B and 4C. And that's because all our time is spent on teaching you how to solve physics problems. Okay, and then it says choose one or more of the following questions to answer. I guess I can answer this. What is your intended major? My version of it, I'll answer. what is your intended major? Mutatis mutandis. I think that's the right phrase. With the things that needing to be changed, having been changed. So my answer there is I double majored in physics and mathematics when I was in college. Pure math, which was actually a mistake compared to what my degree pathway would have been for applied math. With applied math, I would have been able to double count some of the physics classes. Pure math, they don't let you. So that's in college. And in graduate school, I was in atomic, molecular, and optical physics research group before I dropped out. That's probably enough. So, and I was a GSI at UC Berkeley for 6+ years. 6 years if you only count regular semesters. That's the maximum length that they let you be GSI for. And I taught some summers or so, 6+ years. So, okay, so I think that's enough. Enough to definitely clear the module requirement. Let me make sure I scroll up. So I'll skip down to the bottom so that I can click on next. So, so those are the items. Wait, why can I click next? I'm confused. Usually I can click next. But if you can click next for some reason, modules view is what I recommend. Come to modules view. You can see what you have completed. And then, I just contributed. Now I can go to week 1 module item. And I am really confused why I can't just click next from here. But, Canvas might have changed or something. They keep changing, I don't know. They keep changing UI items from semester to semester. It's annoying, but well, let me get to some of these items in the remaining few minutes. So this week 1 module item, it's our first lecture material, and half of what's here, through here, is intended to replace basically the in-person lecture meetings. What would it be? 4 hours per week of lecture. So I mean, it's a little bit shorter because it's the first week. Most weeks, you will see 2 of what you are going to see now. So in week 2, there's lecture 2 and lecture 3. Week 1, first week, a lot of people are adjusting to things. So there's only 1 of it. So, so this is the reorganized course material that I'm excited about because I had some things that I wasn't quite satisfied with the previous way the lecture was presented and how people didn't watch the lecture videos. So what I have now is this item, which is a MyOpenMath assignment. Now, MyOpenMath is tightly linked with this Canvas shell. So when I go to that page, it should just open. So, test the student on the MyOpenMath end, it looks like a regular student. So looks like this. Hopefully self-explanatory page with the links that you can use if you want. This is our textbook, and you are welcome to read it if you want to. The lecture should stand on its own for those who haven't read the textbook. So you click start, and this is what's called a video cued assessment. So the video is broken into sections. And after each section, there's a series of questions that will ask you about what you have just watched. So what you should do is follow the instructions, click on play video button and start. Play video. Welcome to this first lecture. So, you watch this through, and if you're just watching it through, the video will stop at some appropriate point. I think I should stop here, but just so that we are not waiting here 9 minutes for the video to play. By the way, you can play this at faster speed if somehow that works better for you. Nothing stops you from doing that. Now let me just skip ahead to that portion so that it'll just drop me into the question. So when the video finishes playing that segment that the next set of questions are for, it'll drop you into the questions. Yeah, yeah. So after having watched the video, then you should answer this. Now, I guess this might be admission against interest. You can. Let me just finish answering this. Let me just do this randomly. Yeah. So A and B should be correct. C probably wrong. So you can skip to just the questions. Like the system isn't restricting you in any way. Like, so if I want you to just skip to the next set of questions and answer them, by the way, I'm just randomly choosing C. Might be correct, might be incorrect. System will let you do that, but I really don't want you to do it. So, after having answered this, like, if you genuinely gave this an attempt but missed it, then really what that means is maybe you weren't paying attention when you were watching the video. So if that describes you, then you should go back and rewatch. That's one of the advantages of the recorded video, that you can have it repeat. The recorded video will never get tired of playing again and again. And once you finally, second time it should be easier because you are looking for something specific. And once you find that, then we get all the points. And then click on this button to continue to the next video instead of skipping to the next set of questions. So this is our lecture replacement. Each of the videos will, so this first video is on the shorter side. It's only a little bit over an hour. On average, I think they end up being about hour and 30 minutes or so, sometimes longer, sometimes shorter, but never more than 2 hours long. I'm putting that limit on myself to make sure it's never longer than that. And after you've worked through everything here, in the very last question, I do want to encourage you to please give me some feedback on the video. Now it's optional. It's a external Google form survey. If you don't do this, like, I won't know. But some of the changes I've made to the videos over the last few years, it's been out of student feedback. So this feedback, I do think it helps. Over time, it helps me make changes that are necessary. Now, for this first week, you have to complete this set of questions at some level. Like, if you try to access this right now, you can't, because you need to score at least 10 points here. So let me go back and score at least 10 points. I could use my instructor access to skip it, but I think 10, so let me finish this and I'll skip to that. And I know this is stuff. I don't actually have to watch the videos to do it. So which of the following is a key step? Probably this one. Lecture notes. I mean, I do provide some formulas. Probably this one. Okay, so I got all the points here. Let me just finish this one. That's 10 points. That should be enough. And that'll allow me to demonstrate one other thing. Which pair of, I think it's this one. Converting from, has to do with well, that's not quite right. But yeah, I guess this is better. So inverse tangent is defined, but it's defined with a limited range. And there's some lecture explains. I watched the lecture. Extra caution. Yeah, that's this part. Wait, not this one, but this one. Yeah. Come on. Oh, I guess there must be two. Yeah, this one. Wait, that's wrong. That's a typo. It should be y over x, not x over y. I'll fix that after this session, because there should be y over x, x over y. I mean, that's one. If you find a mistake like that, you can do this. You can do message instructor and tell me. For the last question, it's tan theta is equal to y over x, right? Please, that does help me if you do that. So now let me demonstrate what I was talking about. If you go immediately after, you might see this, and you might be thinking, "Hey, I thought I just got 10 points. What's the problem here?" It might even say you have 10 points. So what's wrong? And you might send me a message. What I would ask you is, wait a minute, somewhere between a minute to 5 minutes. It's because there's a built-in delay between communication between MyOpenMath, the external tool, and Canvas. The developer of MyOpenMath didn't want to spam the learning management system, so he programmed in a delay. So unless it's like submit the entire thing, unless you got 100%, the MyOpenMath will wait a few minutes to see if you are still working on it. And after some amount of time has passed, probably more than 1 minute, but never more than 5 minutes, it'll communicate the points to the canvas, and it'll clear this module requirement. So let me keep checking my grades and make sure I got 10 out of 10 or 10 out of 17. Okay, I got that. So now this should be cleared. Let's just check. It might be that I need to. Sometimes, when it's 10, the numerical value might be like a 9.999 something. So let me just get one more point, just so that it. So, if you ran into issue like this and message to me, I'll probably, give you a manual override. That I can do. This different vector scalar, yeah, that one. Okay, that's one additional point. With 11 points, I should definitely have more than 10, at least 10. So, but you can see here the score doesn't immediately transfer. I do need to wait a little bit of time, somewhere between 1 to 5 minutes, not that long. I'm just gonna refresh this from time to time until I see this change to 11. And once that happens, then this should unlock and allow me to do the use of generative AI discussion. And I guess we are already a little bit over time. We'll, I guess, end with that use of generative AI discussion. So that discussion, whenever I'm able to unlock it and get to it, it's the only assignment where I am requiring you to reply to your classmates. So I don't think I have any other graded discussion setup where I require you to reply to someone else. That's the only one, and I'll try to make sure that everyone's posts have been replied to by the second due date. So the first due date of this Friday, okay, 11. Now I should be able to. Okay, yeah, now it's unlocked. So this is we use this for two different ways. One is, I guess, kind of making sure that we are on the same page in terms of what technological tools are out there. And I started doing this a year and a half ago, and ChatGPT has gotten a lot better since then. I don't think I've seen it hallucinate recently. And in fact, I don't know if a Perplexity might now be not as good as ChatGPT, especially if you have paid for account. I have a paid for ChatGPT account. And so, this is a great discussion. You should read it through, follow the instructions, do that. So the first post is due on Friday. That's the due date that you will see here. And after you post, if you don't see any other classmates who have already posted something here, then please come back and by Monday midnight to the second post, replying to one of your classmates. You should be able to see posts from your classmates, reply to at least one of the posts, critiquing the AI response. And after the Monday midnight due date, I'll go through all the posts and make sure that every one of them have at least one response. So So yeah, that's, I guess, basically it. And just a matter of full disclosure, the questions that you have seen in lecture one, I actually used the ChatGPT to help me generate those questions. Because really, in the end, what I care about is that you watch the lecture videos. Like the quality of questions didn't matter to me, so so I thought, hey, I can use ChatGPT for that, and I'll go back and make sure that typo that I just noticed is fixed, because I am responsible for any errors and mistakes, because I have reviewed the questions and I've caught most of the mistakes. The one I'm catching now, I'll fix it right now, and so if you look at the syllabus, we have a clause on ethical use of AI. That's what I require. And if as you're maybe using AI, if it's helping you learn, then that's almost by definition ethical use of AI. The kind of the things that people might get in trouble for is when you are using AI to simply cut corners and not learn the stuff that you are supposed to learn. So make sure if you are, you don't have to use generative AI, although I think it can be helpful in using it like a virtual tutor. You don't have to use it, but if you do use it, make sure you are using it in a way that it's actually helping you learn physics. So with that, I think that covers everything I wanted to cover. In any case, we are way over time, so I think we should end here. So, we got rest of the week one material. So in the virtual class session this Friday, I'll work through some of these problems and materials, kind of demonstrating use of ChatGPT like a virtual tutor. I've been doing that in the past semester, and I'll do another version of that this semester. So if there's any questions that people want me to answer on recording, time to ask is now. You can either unmute yourself and ask, or put that into chat. Not seeing any, I'll stop the recording here, and I'll stay online briefly in case people did have questions, you just didn't want them captured in the recording. So let me say goodbye to people joining by recorded video, by which I mean I'm going to stop the recording, and I'll stay online briefly. So bye to people joining by recorded video.
Recording stopped.
And let me stop my backup recording.